إذا مرحبا بمن حضر متأخرا ومرحبا مجددا بمن حضر في الوقت. We said that we will start by a recall about the last session, what we have done in the last lecture, and we will continue. In the last session, we introduced science and scientific research with the definition of science, also definition of scientific research. We said that science is an organized body of knowledge, briefly, on a particular subject, and we said there are different subjects of science. That means we have different sciences. We have seen the taxonomy of sciences, how they classify sciences into three big categories, and we said that scientific research is a systematic work undertaken in order to increase the stock of knowledge and to devise new applications of available knowledge. Of course, this is one of the definitions. There are a lot of definitions. This is only one of them. And we said that its goal is to produce science. We said that there is a key component of scientific research, which is dissemination or the spreading of your research. We have also talked about society and scientific research, and we said that there is a causal link between scientific research and the progress of society. We have seen also two research teams proposition approaches, which are the top-bottom approach. We have said that the proposition comes from the government, and we stated two examples. One in Algeria, we said that there is something called PNR, Projets Nationaux de Recherche. They propose projects for universities, and the university formalized them and proposed problematics and thesis. And we also stated another example of Horizon 2020 in the European Union. It is proposed by the European Union, and we said that these programs are not annual but multi-annual. For example, the Horizon 2020 is a 6 years program. And we have also talked about the difference between basic and applied research. Basic research is pure or fundamental. Sometimes we we use the term scientific, and for the applied we use the term technological, and we have seen the difference between them. We also have seen the requirements of a good scientific research. Basically, three main requirements, which are the originality of the research work, also the significance, or what is the impact of this work, this research work on society and on other research. And the third requirement is rigor, which is related to the accuracy and the formalization of the research. Then we move to research methods through historical perspective. We have seen the first contributors to the research or the scientific method. We have seen the work of Bacon, Francis Bacon, also Galileo, and also Isaac Newton. And before them, there was the extremely contribution of Ibn al-Haytham in the 10th century. We also have seen the peer review process, how it's done, and the importance of peer review process for scientific journals And also for conferences, we also have seen international standards of publications like the ISBN for books, DOI for articles, the ORCID for authors. We also have seen professional societies, commercial and academic publishers. Professional societies, one of the important professional societies is the IEEE. The commercial, we can state, or we have stated the LCD and the academic publishers. We have seen the example of MIT Press. And also there was a question about if one author can publish a paper, and the answer is yes, he can publish alone. We call them single authored papers, but this depends on the journal. Some journals, they don't accept this single author, and others they accept. For some journals, the most important point is the quality of the research. An example of one or single author paper, as you can see now, there is only one author, Hussein Hussoon. This is just one example. There are plenty of examples. Now let's continue other stuff we haven't seen the last time. It concerns the scientometric indexes. There is a problem, which is the measurement of the impact of research papers and academic journals, and also the understanding of scientific citations and the use of such measurements in policy and management context. And here come the benefits or the importance of scientometric, which is a field of study which concerns itself with measuring and analyzing academic literature. Some common scientometric indexes, we can classify them to three categories: article level metrics, author level metrics, and journal level metrics. We will see the most important metrics. For example, the first one is the citation impact, which is a measure of how many times an academic journal article or a book or author is cited by other articles, books, or authors. So this one, citation impact, is author level and journal level and article level metric. The citation counts are interpreted as measures of the impact or influence of academic work. The second metric is H-index. The H-index is an author-level metric that measures both the productivity and citation impact of the publications of scientists or scholars. The H-index correlates with obvious success indicators such as winning the Nobel Prize, being accepted for research fellowship, and holding position at top universities. So it doesn't depend only on the citation, but it depends on other things. The impact factor, or sometimes it's called the journal impact factor, GIF. It reflects the yearly average number of citations that articles published in the last 2 years in a given journal receive. هي تعبر عن معدل citations that articles published in the last 2 years in a given journal receive. So this is for the impact factor. And for example, the impact factor of the Nature journal. It is this journal is not class A but above. It is considered as exceptional journal. It is one of the best journals in the world. The IF, the impact factor of this journal is 42.778. And another journal, which is the African Journal of Biotechnology, with an impact factor of zero point 0.6. You see the difference. Generally, when the impact factor is more than 1, that means that journal is not bad. Okay, now we will start the second part, overview about the writing process. You should know that one of the main tasks is to spread your work and present it to peers. You, as a master student, you will graduate and you will, or you may ask yourself to to do or not to do a PhD. So if you decide to continue in this academic way, you should know that one of the main tasks is to spread your work and present it to peers. At least you should publish one research paper. And this process of writing scientific paper and getting it published can be long and painful. It's not a one-shot process. One of the main questions a scholar should ask, and it's a logic question, how to publish. But before answering this question, why publishing is important? This is another important question. One, to support the other researchers, thus to advance the scientific knowledge, to have contributions. It is a form of expression and communication. It allows you to share your results and your findings in some topic, and also it allows you to get important criticism back from reviewers, and that will contribute in the improvement of your work, your research, if you take in consideration those criticisms. It's also very important if you are thinking about continuing and progressing in your academic life for promotion and so on. Publishing is considered as the currency in the research world. Another important point is you have to know your community. Knowing the academic context of your research will help you define the importance of your research. Questions that leads you to know your community are the following. Which academic conferences are important for your research? Which academic journals are relevant to your research? And who are the influential researchers, the authors? And also you have to know if it is basic or applied, theoretical or experimental. The elements of answer to these questions will help you define your community. You want to report scientific findings. You want also the recognition at work, enhance reputation, help promotion prospects, and help career prospects. You also want peer recognition, high quality paper, enhanced reputation. The recognition might be wider with wider audience. Paper must be readily found using an electronic search engine. Okay, to know your community also, you have to read articles that use the same methods as yours. as the methods in your research. You need to look through plenty of academic papers to understand better your community. That's what we call the literature review. You have to classify those papers into groups: essential papers and related papers. Identify conferences and journals will help you to discover the ecosystem of the community. And one recommendation is to make a recent 10 years bibliography of a specific topic. This is not always possible. Sometimes there are some subjects that are new, that are very recent, so the 10 years bibliography can't be done. Now, before submitting a paper, you have to read the journal, the aims and the scope to determine if your work fits with the journal and readership. Also, you have to look for the editorial board and its composition. This allows you to look into the kind of research the editors are doing, what are their area of expertise. Then check if your paper is coherent with the editorial line of journal. Look at the type of articles that are most referenced in this desirable journal. It is important that you include references that are most commonly cited in publications in this journal that you have targeted. Otherwise, they will reject your work. This is an example of aims and scope of a journal. This journal called Crop Protection, and here they put their aims and scope. So this kind of you should read this before publishing or before um, sending your paper. Other points about journals: anonymity. We have talked about this concept the last time. The anonymity of the peer review process differs from one journal to another. It's not the same for all journals. It can be severe, and here we mean the double-blinded process. As we have said the last time, double-blinded refers to the authors are undisclosed to the reviewers, and the reviewers also are undisclosed or are not known to the authors in both directions. But the normal way is what the most journals do. They ask the reviewers if they want to keep their names secret or not. Sometimes the reviewers don't have a problem to reveal their names. Another point is the acceptance ratio for publication. Also, it differs depending on each journal, but generally it's in the range from 5% to 70% of all submitted papers. So it is less in the prestigious journals because the conditions are very hard and are so rigorous. Another point is the time scale, which is the duration from submission to publication. It ranges from several months to years. This time scale is problematic somehow because sometimes it's slowing down the advancement of research. If a researcher waits for a year or more, that means it's slowing down and it's problematic. Now, Before writing, you have to delimit your scientific paper. You have to ask this question: what is my paper about? What will be the contribution of my paper to this field I am interested in? And to answer this question, you have to build your literature review. An also important thing is the research question, which is the main question raised in your paper, the one you bring elements of answer to in the paper. It's like the electromotive force of your paper, the research question or the problematic of your research. First, you need to know and learn what has already done in your field, and this is through the literature review. And doing our research, we need to climb the mountain of accumulated knowledge. We have to pass through this step to know what has been done and what haven't been done. You shouldn't underestimate this step of doing a good literature review, because you can imagine someone who will start working on a subject without a good literature. He think he's in the good path, but after that, when he want to publish, they will tell him that this work is already done before. So here it's just waste of time, waste of year, or maybe more than 1 year, 2 years. Establishing the literature review is a way for you to specify why and how your work is original. Originality may cover several aspects. It can be leading new empirical work, new experimental work, interpreting known ideas but in a new way, giving new data to old problems, new contextualization, or producing an original synthesis. The literature review objective is to identify the knowledge frontier and what needs to be studied, identify the context of your research question, and identify keywords, variable linked to your research question. How to find references to do our literature review. The easiest way is to use Google Scholar with keywords. Not only Google Scholar, but generally all the academic search engine. And to do this, you have to translate your subject in few keywords. Otherwise, you will be lost in either too general references or too specialized ones. During your reference search, you discover specified journals publishing on your field of your interest. This is when you do research on Google Scholar, you find specified journals, and it's recommended to go to the website of those journals and do research there. Now you will find a lot of references. How to manage those references? You should know that when it will be time to write, don't forget that you will not have the time to read again and again all your articles to find specific information. So it will be a very difficult task. That is why you need to take notes from your readings, like the author's date, full reference, problematic of the reference, the use thesis, the methodology used, and so on. Now, to do the reference management, there are some powerful tools. And Zotero is one of those powerful tools. Zotero is an electronic manager for all your academic references. It is it is a free and open source reference management software. Actually, it is not totally free. There are some features that are not for free. I will talk about them later. Zotero works with many operating systems, Windows, Linux, Mac. Make sure that you install browser connector. We will see what is the browser connector. Okay. We will see those things now. I will show you. I have said that Zotero helps in storing bibliographic information for you so you can refer back to it when you need it. To install it or download it, you have to come to this link, zotero.org download, and here you find Zotero for your operating system. You download this one, and also you have to download the connector, the browser connector. If you are using Chrome, download the Chrome Zotero connector. If you are using Mozilla or others, the same thing, because this one is important as well. Once you install the Zotero for your desktop and also the connector, which is an extension in the browser, you will find it here, Zotero. This is the Zotero library. It is divided into three sections. This one section, the left section, the middle section, and the right section. On the left side, there is a navigation section, this one, where you see My Library and other folders. The middle section is or contains the list of articles and all items that you have added. And if I click on one item, we will see in the right section more detailed information about this item. For example, this one is an article, an analysis of the cloud computing security problem. Here you can find the item type. Is it a journal or a book or others, or a report? The title and the authors, the abstract sometimes is available, sometimes not, and other information, etc. And here, this one is called the toolbar. You find some icons here. For example, this one, new collection. This one is to add a new collection to help in classifying the items. For example, if I click on it, I have to add a new collection, enter a name for this collection. Let's say I will call it mobile technology. 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 Okay. It has added a folder of mobile technologies. Here you can you can see this icon, new item. You can manually add an item here, whether it is an attachment, book section, journal, etc. This is for this is to do it manually. Now let's see some settings in the menu bar. You can find files, views, tools, etc. But the most important settings, we find them in the edit box, exactly in the preferences, Zotero preferences. Here we have this general. There are some choices here. It's recommended to let them as they are in default mode. This tab is for the synchronization between the Zotero in your desktop and the Zotero in the web. And this is extremely important for you to create an account and come here and activate the synchronization. For example, here I'm already connected or linked. That's why you see my name here. But if you are not, you will find two boxes here. You find username and password. You enter them and link to make the synchronization. We will see what is the importance of this synchronization. And here also we have this important tab. It is here you can find different styles of writing, the styles of citations. Here you can find the IEEE style, the LCV style, etc. It depends on your article, the journal, what they require. You choose the appropriate one. Another tab here is the word processor. This one is to integrate Zotero with your word processor, whether it is Microsoft Word or, for example, this one, LibreOffice, which is an open source one. So you have to install them to integrate them with the Microsoft Word. And basically, those are the most useful settings. Now, how should we work with Zotero and deal with references? You have to go to the academic search engines. For example, Google Scholar. You have to create account, and here you come here to Google Scholar and you put keywords related to your topic. For example, let's try in general 6G, sixth generation. A list of articles and academic articles appears. There is filters here. You can choose whatever you want since 2020, since 2019, etc. Here, as you see here, this one is the Zotero connector. This small icon. Change the icon depends on the web page. Here it is a yellow folder because we have a lot of articles. If I click on it, save to Zotero, I click, a window appears and tell me to select which items you'd like to add to your library. Those articles are the same in the Google Scholar. So I select, for example, I select the first one, the vision of 6G wireless systems, the roadmap to 6G. What should 6G be? I've selected four items. I need to come here to save them. And here you can see saving to. Here I can choose where I save them, my library. I will let them in my library, then I will classify them. Let's come back to the Zotero to see. You can see here the articles that I have added, or they are saved here in this section, middle section, for articles. This one and this one. Yeah. And here in the right section, you can find more details, more information. We can change here the information manually. For example, here I can change this one. I can change this one, etc. Even the title. Sometimes, for example, some style they require title case. Title case. What it means that each word must be in a capital letter, and this one is written in the sentence case. Only the first one is capital. So you can change it manually, or also you can click here and click in the right bottom and choose title case. It will change to title case. The first words are in capital letter. This is according to the style that you are following. So you should know which style first. Also, you can add, for example, I have a PDF here. I can add it to the Zotero. I just have to drag it and drop it here in this section. Here, the Zotero is trying to look for the information about this PDF. Now it's okay. This one. He he found the information about the PDF, and those are all the information. Now you see here it is synchronizing with the web account, with the web library. Is there a limit for the articles that we can save? Yes, there is a limit. I don't know exactly, but there is a limit. If you overcome certain storage, you have to pay for additional storage. But generally, for us, I think the available storage is sufficient. For example, here there are some. If I want those 6G articles to add them to mobile technology, or maybe I can add a sub collection here. I will call it 6G, and I will add. So I said here we have the articles, the added articles or items. It can be book or anything. Uh, I have created a sub collection here, new sub collection. This one 6G. I come to my library. I select the 6G items. and I will add them to this folder, sub-collection. This is just organizational concept. It will make it easy for you to accessing, to classify topics and so on. Also here, sometimes sometimes you save one item several times, and here duplicate items. You will find the duplicated items here in this section. You just have to select them and merge them into one item. Here, the main library, you can order it, order the items alphabetically according to the title or according to the creator. In the right section, you can add notes about the selected item. Here you click on add and you can add notes, and this is important as well, and so that you will back to it later and see the notes that you have put. There is here also the tags tab. You can add tags and related. You can add related articles to the selected one. And I will show you the web library. I have created an account. I just need to come to I just need to log in, and I will find all the added articles. I will find them also here in the web library, and that is also very important in case you have a problem with with your laptop or with computers. So it is uh, a backup. You can uh, find what you have saved. I think these all are also there are forums. You can ask questions if you have registered, if you have an account. An important thing is how to do the citation. For example, me, I come here to Google Docs. It is like it's like Microsoft Word. It's the same principle. I have copied this text, these two paragraphs from Wikipedia, and let's suppose I want to make a citation. Here, for example, here in this place, I put my cursor here, and I come here, add edit Zotero citation. I click on it. But before doing that, you have to give the permission to Zotero to access to your Google Docs. If I click, Zotero is updating your document. Please wait. For example, I select this one. I come here, you see, it he put one between brackets. If I want to add another citation, for example, let's say here, I will press add Zotero add citation. This one. Let's see. Let's put this one deep learning. Let's just an example. There is two here. He put two, and let's say another one here. Add citation. We'll select the same as before. Deep learning. Okay. It is two, the same as before. And now let's say I want to add the list of references or the bibliography. I select the place, I put the cursor, and I come here to this Zotero in the menu bar. I have to choose add or edit bibliography. And you see here, he put the two references, one and two. Till now, do you have a question? Is it clear for you? But before, let me ask you a question. Does anyone use Zotero? I think those are the most important things that you should know about Zotero. Let's continue. Why I told you it's important to create Zotero account? Because creating account allows you to access your library online at Zotero.org from any computer, synchronize the things you have saved on your computer with online Zotero, share your library on more than one computer, and transfer your information to new computer. And you also can post to the Zotero forums to ask for technical help. And of course, Zotero is not the only reference manager. Zotero is just one of many citation management software options. Another example is Mendeley, which is used to manage and share research papers and generate bibliographies for academic articles. There are slight differences between the two, but basically they do the same thing. Now let's move to the research design. During the literature review, you have to clearly identify the gap, and after you have collected the references and you start reading them, you have to clearly identify the gaps, the gaps, يعني الثغرات, where there are some questions without answers. And also the gap is not about has it already been done, though it's an important question, this one, but it is about is it possible to go further in this direction in an original way? Now, the research question. The research question of your article will be the most important sentence of your article. It will make the links between the gaps. It is a keystone of your paper. And the formal aspect of your research question has to be clear, precise, and concise. the research question should be the highlight of your paper because it is the question that you are trying to answer in your research work. Another important thing in the design is the coherence. Each part of your research process has to be coherent in two regards. Each part has to be coherent with one another, and the second one, they all have to be coherent with the research question and the problematic you raise through your literature. Here, the reader, when he read your article, he must go seamlessly from one part to another. No logical mistakes between each block. لازم تكون هناك سلاسة بين العناصر ومكونات البحث أو المقال. We will see the blocks composing an article. This is the part of the structure of an academic paper. How do we build an academic paper? We will see the model that the majority of papers follow with a typical and classical structure. There are some generic blocks that you will find in almost every paper. Those blocks are the title, then abstract, introduction, literature review, methodology, results and analysis as one block, then discussion and conclusion. Now the authorship. The authorship also we find it in the article. You have to establish the co-authors and who write the article. But this one we will postpone it to the next session, inshallah, in the ethical or ethics of the research. Now let's move to the first part, to the first component of the article, the title. The title should be simple, clear, and short. It also should be displaying all the key concepts of your research, and it should be straight to the point and powerful. It should describe your research with the fewest possible words. The second block is the abstract. The abstract, it synthesizes the main points of a paper. It is the most important part of your paper because generally the readers read the abstract first. It is the showcase of your paper. It should contain what you did, why you did it, and what are the results implications. When you read it, you have to know exactly what the paper is about and what is your contribution. This is an example of an abstract. In first, they put they answered this question why they did the work, and then what they did and what are the results they achieved. And in the conclusion of the abstract, they have put some implications of the results. Next is the keywords list. The advantage or the purpose of the keyword list is to help others to find your work and cite it. It helps in classifying your paper and also in referencing it. You have to think of the right strategy keywords. They are often additional to those in the title. This is an example of keywords list. And also here, the number of keywords depends on the journal. Some journals, they specify to 5, others to 6, so it depends. You should know the journal requirements. The next part is the introduction, where you, here in this section, you must find or you should find a balance between saying everything and keeping some mystery about your research. And the most important is to identify fast and clearly the research question. You have to identify it in the introduction. It is also helpful to finish the introduction with a clear outline paragraph where you describe exactly what you do in each section. This paragraph often begins with, the paper is structured as follows. The literature review part, it is the next section to the introduction section. And here in the literature review, it's not about being exhaustive in your review of the literature, but it is about presenting what is needed to get to the research questions. You have to show the limits of previous research to justify the necessity of your own work. You have to do that in the literature review. The next part is the methodology. This is not, not all articles contains this part, the methodology. But this section is for explaining the research design. Sometimes it is located in the end of the paper or in appendix, depending on the discipline and the journal. It is the section where you justify the way you proceeded with your research. You have to say why is it relevant, why it has to be done in this specific way, and so on. Describe the way you collected data, the way you build your experiment. You have, in this section, the methodology section, you have to convince the reader that your measures are valid and reliable, and your methodology is rigorous. The next block is the results analysis, where you present your findings and your results. You have to present your results clearly and honestly. When possible, use tables and figures effectively. Do not repeat all of the information that appears in a table or figure in the text, but do summarize it. Make graphs clear and provide them with a suitable caption. Make sure you keep the results section just for results. Some journals combine results and discussion. Now the next block is discussion, where you have to discuss the meaning, the significance and implications of the results in this section. It is where you prove the relevance of your work, where the results consistent with your expectations. You remind the reader of the research questions, summarize the analysis and the results and the findings, then explain how you contribute to the previous literature. And finally, the conclusion. The form of the conclusion differs depending on the journal and the discipline. Sometimes the conclusion is to show the limits of your work and how you are planning to address them in future research. But sometimes it is just a short summary of your research and contribution. So that's why you have to know the style and the requirements of the journal that you target. Uh, the conclusion should be short and powerful. Uh, Also, we have the references, tables, figures, graphs, appendix. This is after the conclusion. All the citations in the corpus of the text need to be identified in the reference list placed at the end of the paper, as I have demonstrated with Zotero. Here you have to ensure that the formatting of the citations in the text and reference list conform with the style of the journal your article will be sent to. Because as we said, there are different styles. For example, I triple E, LCV style, etc. So you have to uh, make the appropriate one. When you submit a paper, some journals want you to list all the tables, figures, graphs after the text. Others, they um, want you to send them the graphs and the figures in a separate file, in another file, two files, one for the paper, another just for the tables and figures, and so it depends on the journal. That's why you have to read the journal guide to the author. Finally, you can add the appendix. The appendices allow you to include the detailed information, for example, mathematical proofs, list of words, the questionnaire used in the research, etc. Now let's move to some preliminary tips. The first tip, you should rewrite the final version of the introduction, the conclusion, and the abstract at the very last. Because don't imagine that the writing will be in the order as we have stated the blogs. We don't, researchers don't write abstract, then introduction, then literature review. No. For example, here, the abstract and the introduction, you should write them or rewrite them in the very last. It seems paradoxical, but it's not. It is important that you understand fully the core of your paper, literature, methodology, results, and your contribution, so you can properly synthesize everything. So you have to understand fully the core of your paper to you can properly synthesize everything in the abstract and the conclusion and the introduction as well. Tip number two is about knowing your community, which is very important, extremely important. You should write for specific research community and for specific journals, so you know what work they have done before and what work they are interested in. Also to adapt the style of the journal. For example, the language, is it American English or British? So if the journal they used to write and accept, they often write in American English, so it's better to write in American English. Now, the tip three, it's about the introduction, which is where the first sentence is so important. Also in the introduction, make sure you answer MRCI framework. M stands for motivation. You have to answer what is the motivation of your topic. This framework is about the introduction. You have to answer what is the motivation of your topic. Do you explain why there is a real gap in the literature? Why your research question is an interesting one? Um, the second letter R is stands for results. What are your findings? You have to answer this. And that is the part where you answer the research question. The C refers to contributions. How do these results contribute to the ongoing research or the previous literature? And I for implications. What are the implications of your work for future research? This is IEEE Explore. It is a search engine of the IEEE publisher. This is also very important to make research here. I know, do you have a question about Zotero or about what we have seen till now? I will show you an example of a conference. This one is the fourth Mediterranean Conference on Pattern Recognition and Artificial Intelligence. It is in Hammamet, Tunisia. Okay. The papers must be submitted electronically by June 15, 2020. This one is the fourth conference on computing systems and applications. Okay. The paper submission due to, at first it was in December 1, 2019. Then they did an extension, and they also have put the acceptance on February 23. And this camera ready submission is like when they accept you, sometimes there is a reservation, not revision. You have to correct some things. There is a revision, and you have to resend the article, and this is the camera ready submission, and this is the registration for the conference. So before you submit, you can see those deadlines, the paper submission and the acceptance notification. That's why they have to respect them. And because of COVID-19, they postpone, because this one it was supposed to be done, I think, yeah, in April. But yes, it was supposed to be done in April 2020, but due to Corona crisis, it was postponed to December 14. This is in Algiers, in Burj Al Bahri. It's okay for today, and the next time we'll see the ethical side of research, scientific research.